Hey guys, welcome to Raw Customs. I'm your host, Patrick Rapolo, and on this episode, it's time to get rid of this Playskool, my Power Wheels piece of junk plastic bumper that they threw on the front of my Jeep JK from the factory. Are you kidding me? This is a piece of junk that is plastic and offers zero protection. So what I did is I went ahead and built me my own custom front bumper. Now this was a scrap build, alright? I went around and just had some metal laying around my shop, grabbed metal parts, cut them up, put them back together, and made me a custom one-off piece. Well, what I ended up with was a nice, professional looking bumper that offers plenty of protection on the front of my Jeep. So if you got one of these plastic pieces of junk, get you a welder and a grinder and build you something awesome for the beast you drive. Here's how to do it.
To start, the front bumper was removed. Then 2 square plates were cut out using a plasma cutter. The edges were then cleaned up using a grinder. The pieces squared up and clamped in place in front of the frame. And then the holes marked and drilled out using a drill press with a step bit. Next, I cut off the section of the tow hook with the bolts that came from the front of the bumper. These pieces were set into the main plates and then welded into place. Once I removed the bumper, I found a vacuum pump that needed to be relocated. I used cardboard to trace out the bracket for the pump. This allowed me to design a new bracket to relocate the pump into the engine bay. The pattern was transferred to 3/16 steel and cut out. The bracket was cleaned, painted, and the pump relocated. Next, the front tab on the original mount was cut off using a reciprocating saw to make room for the winch mount. The next step was to weld in the inside plates on each side. The winch plate was then set in place, clamped, and then welded in. A pattern was made for the outside edge. That piece transferred to steel, cut out, set in place, and then welded on. Working like this is a creative process, so be prepared to take some time getting your templates right before you transfer them to the metal. It's a lot easier to fix the template or get that right than it is to correct the mistakes you make on the metal. To make sure the bumper was strong, I actually welded each plate that I put on each side of the plate inside and out. D-rings are going to be welded at the end of this, so I went ahead and put in extra support on the inside of the main box here. Next, the winch cable guide was traced onto the front plate. The section for the cable to come through cut out just a little larger than the mouth of the guide itself, and then the hose for the mounts drilled out on the drill press. Then the piece welded in. The next step was to make plates for the top of the bumper. A bar was clamped across the top plates to keep everything straight while welding. Next, the skid plate was cut out. set in place and tacked to the bottom of the bumper. Spacers were set in place between the skid plate and the frame, then temporary bars were tacked in to allow me to remove the bumper. 3 gussets were made to go between the winch mount and the skid plate. Once they were welded in, the support bar was removed. The next step was to fab up the piece that would bring the top panel and the front together. The piece was welded into place, and then the welds grinded smooth. I just thought I'd add this in here. This is the neighbor's dog that came over, just chasing the sparks being thrown by the grinder. I kind of thought it was funny. After playing with the dog, the top angle was cut and welded into place. After cutting out pieces for the side of the bumper, they were marked where they needed to be bent, clamped into the sheet brake, and bent to the desired angle. The side was welded into place. Then finally, the last piece to close in the front of the bumper. Once the bumper was finished, it was completely welded and then grinded smooth using a grinding wheel. Then I switched over to a sanding wheel. I went over the entire bumper, smoothing out the edges, getting rid of paint and rust. To top the bumper off, I fabbed up a light bar using square tubing and 3/16 plate. Brackets for lights were added to the back of the bar. And to finish everything off, D-rings were welded on. Then the bumper was mocked up into place. And to finish it off, it was professionally sprayed with bed liner coating.
Alright guys, there it is, how I made my own front custom bumper. I hope this video helps you out and inspires you to go work on your own project. Now, like I said, this was a scrap build, and there's several nice things about building from scrap. Number one, you have to use your imagination with the parts quite a little bit to be able to throw something together, how to take something apart and use what you can from it to build a better project or build what you're looking for in the end. Number two, it saves you money. The money I saved by using the scrap and building this allowed me to use that money to buy the other pieces I needed to finish up the project. Now, a bumper like this would easily cost $300 to $600 if I went to buy it. I don't have that much in the entire project. I have right around $250 total finishing. That includes the welding wire, the grinding pads, the lights, the winch, and the cost of having it professionally sprayed with a bed liner coating to give it a nice strong finish and durability. Alright guys, that's it for this episode. God bless, and I'll see you on the next one.